So what you're going to do to make that little tunnel that I made for my basketball scene is you're going to start off with the 3D path tool, and you're going to do your best to kind of make a diamond shaped spiraling 3D path going around. And what you're going to do while you do this is you're going to hold the Alt button and try and change the direction that you're viewing this path from. As you can see, it may look good from one angle, but from another angle it's going to be way longer than you imagined it was in the first place. So take this and move it down, move this so it's facing down, this one so it's still going downward. And once you let go of Alt, you can continue to add and subtract and move around different parts of the shapes. But essentially what you want is that these shapes are constantly facing in a downward direction. And that's one of the most difficult parts about this this tool, is just making sure it's right on all axes, X, Y, and Z. Because while something can look super short, like this section right here does from this view, it's actually much longer than you might think. So then what you're going to want to do is take these sharp corners and adjust them so that they are, you know, a little more simple curved shapes that'll be easier for your sphere to roll down once you're finished. So this might not even work, but we're gonna give it a try and see what happens dropping a sphere through it. So right now this path is set to the default setting of a circle, which is the only one that allows you to activate this little ring setting in the path options. So as you can see, there's the top end of the 3D path, and if you move this little ring setting, it's going to turn your 3D path into a tunnel, which is kind of fun. And what we'll do is we'll add a little glass setting and make all of these other settings somewhat transparent so you can see the ball go through there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a little sphere, and this is where the physics and gravity and dynamics all come in. We'll make the sphere orange like the basketball. What I did with that was actually added a little matte cap using a basketball image that I found on the web. And we're going to, for now, just make sure that ball's inside the tunnel and select it. You're going to go down and you're going to click your background and make sure physics is turned on, and then click your sphere and go to dynamic, and this will make sure that your object, or this specific object, is susceptible to gravity itself. So if we push play, so instead of listening to my genius on things that I know nothing about, like this physics setting and the 3D paths, the best thing you can do is just experiment with all the settings, try changing them around, messing around with the different options that you have, and seeing how each little difference can change your scene, and see how each option affects what's going on with the things that you're playing with. For instance, we have this sphere, right, which is set to the dynamic setting, which means it's susceptible to the gravity and whatnot that's going on. And the reason that this path isn't also falling with gravity is because it's positioned in a certain place in space and not dynamic. If it was dynamic, both the sphere and the path would fall, like you see there. But since it's positioned in a certain place, it will stay in that place structured. But there's things you can do to make this ball roll a lot slower. If you lower the gravity scale and the weight of the ball itself, and you can actually bump up the friction, so there's more friction going on with it as it touches the inside of the tunnel walls, it's going to be a lot slower as it rolls down this little tube. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot more friction going on that's stopping it from going around the corners and stuff like that. On the other hand, what you can do is reduce that friction down to 0. Oh, excuse my French. And you can turn the weight and gravity scale up, and as you'll see, this will make the ball go through the tube a lot faster. So you can have a ton of fun with this. You can make some of those Rune Goldberg machines and make a little marble roller that activates all sorts of fun little wheels, and you can use the new conditional logic and physics to have things bump into one another and activate other things going on in your scene. There's quite a lot of fun stuff going on. In addition to my tutorials, make sure you're checking out the tutorials that are offered on the home page in the opening window in Spline. There's a ton of them. They're all great, and there's a lot more to learn. There's always more to learn, and if I were to guess correctly, I'm sure there's tons of stuff that's possible in this app that even the developers aren't familiar with, because they just have done so much to make it similar to reality that, you know, the possibilities are endless. I always see the Spline team and Alejandro reacting to creations in the Discord, which if you're not a part of, you should definitely join. And I can tell that they're amazed by the things that people are doing and working on, because even they themselves haven't seen everything that this app is currently capable of.